Live. Hello to everybody. We're back live and looking forward to this. Let's get the show on the road. So, what can happen when you decide to no longer live in fear or allow fear to hold you back from doing the things you'd most love to do? My next guest took a stand and decided to do just that and to no longer live a life where fear gets to run the show. She then wrote, directed, and starred in a series of 5 videos known as Wonderland X. This project helps awaken people to the true nature of reality and exactly where your experience is coming from. And they're fun as well. Today you'll be given the opportunity to see them all for free, no strings attached. You definitely gonna want to stick around for that. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for writer, artist, and clarity coach Kate E Stokes. Katie, thank you so much for joining me. Woo.
Thank you.
Yeah, just saying before we went live, I love the background you have. You've got some cards, which were the props.
Yeah.
Brilliant Wonderland X, which we'll be getting into in a little moment. We've got 2 viewers already online. Isabel is saying hi. Hello, Isabel. You're most welcome here. Thank you for joining us. Got 3 viewers now and counting. Do say hello. Give us your questions for Kate, your comments as we move forward. You're all most welcome. So, just want to ask you, Kate, before we to get going, how was it for you with your spiritual awakening or dropping out of the matrix, some might call it? What was the story behind all of that?
Yeah, well, the dropping out of the matrix was exactly what I felt had happened. Like, it was reading Jamie Smart's, oh no, it was all on Audible, Jamie Smart's results book, and it popped up on my Audible like recommendations, and I just remember this bit. It's just said on the cover. It just said, "Think less, achieve more," and I was like, "That's it. That's what I want to do. Think less." And because I just felt I had this like constantness, and I remember listening to it, but I was also decluttering, and I had like I don't know how old my baby was, but it was like in one arm and I was decluttering. And so I was like completely distracted. So I don't know what he said, but all of a sudden I just went, like I just realized although I was kind of getting information through my eyes and ears and touch and things, that there was no meaning coming from the world to me. And I had always assumed that there was meaning out there in the world, and I was just having a kind of like a little bit of a Katie version of that meaning. And the moment I realized there was no meaning, like that all the meaning in the world was created by thought, I was like, oh my God, we really are in this kind of matrix, but it's like a thought. Instead of a computer generated matrix, it's a thought created virtual reality, which is what the whole reason I did the films, because I was like, oh my God, that's such a perfect metaphor for what's really happening. So yeah, from there, like there's no going back. So, once you see that, your world is made of thought, and that all you're ever experiencing is thought. I mean, that you can't help but go on a journey from there. You can't help them and just have more insights about what's going on. And I remember, because I didn't know where. I thought Jamie Smart was just this guy who just stumbled across this truth, and I didn't know that anybody else was talking about this at all. And I was thinking, I can't be the only one who's just fallen out of the matrix. I need to find my other people. And I was typing all kinds of things into Google, like, it's all thought, trying to desperately find other people who'd seen this. And and of course it just got better and better. And like for me, it was just a really exciting journey. Like, I just remember as a kid, or even just above being a kid, remembering how like magical books were when they found like a magic key or things like that. And I used to almost ache that couldn't happen to me, that I couldn't find something magic in the attic, or that it wasn't real. And like when I when I found this, I really felt like I had, and I really felt like I had this magic key and was like opening these new doors of insight, and suddenly the world, like, oh my God, that's thought too. And then there would be another door opened. And so I just found it really exciting, and I got really quite addicted to, finding all these doors that I could open now.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's quite a story. And I just want to give a shout out to Jamie Smart. I don't do this often enough, to be honest, but he was obviously a massive catalyst in my own understanding, deepening. That's obviously where we met on his clarity coach training course, which was an epic journey. And I used to think when I first heard about it, the 3Ps like stood for something like piss poor performance equals blah blah, whatever, like each P stood for something, and of course that wasn't the case at all. Just going to nip to the comments. We've got Angie Richardson saying good morning. Hi Angie, thanks for joining us. We've also got a familiar face on. Somebody might have heard of before, Pete Griffiths. Hello, thank you for joining us. Pete's obviously doing his own amazing work, getting this understanding out into the world. Big up for you as well, my friends. Right, so when I first we got put together for peer coaching, and I remember back then, about 18 months ago, roughly, you would say that you had this dream about putting together a series of videos, and I think at the time you perhaps were going to gear them towards children, but of course that's since evolved, and I think it's just as pertinent and valid for adults as well as kids. It appeals to both, certainly from my perspective. So, what was the catalyst? What changed for you from having this idea in your head to actually get out to the world? What was the shift?
I think at some point I just knew it was going to come into the world, and that like the how part of it seemed less important. And I just kind of started following like the next thing to do with it. I was kind of getting on with my life, but keeping that going. And I just knew those three things had to go together, like the virtual reality, Alice in Wonderland, and this kind of understanding of where your experience comes from. And I almost felt like it was the idea itself just had to be made, and it wasn't necessarily going to be me, except that I felt like I was the fourth part of it that they needed to be together to kind of to make it. And I think I just kind of started little. I was getting just curious about VR, so I went to a training day, and then the people there were like, "Yeah, this is a really good idea. It really works with the VR." So then I'd ended up getting a residency in Brighton at this VR lab. So you get to explore with other people who are right at the head of technology and innovation with some of these VR tools, like just crazy stuff like full body suits and things like that. And somebody was creating a flying rig, so you could feel like you were like running and then flying like Peter Pan within a VR environment. And the more experience I had with VR, the more I knew that it's just like if you could put people in a virtual reality experience and they could feel it as real. Yeah, it's real, because when you're in a VR experience, you experience it rather than watching it like a film. And I thought if you could point out to them while that was happening that's the same thing going on in day to day, then that could be really impactful. So in fact, I mean, the films are VR, but most people I think are actually watching them on a phone like this, which isn't quite as immersive. But it is possible to watch it in the headset and look around with it all being 3D.
So how much of a difference does it make using VR goggles versus not using VR goggles? Is it like quite a staggering difference, or is it subtle, or is it?
I think. It's a stunning difference. Right. Like absolutely. Like if you're the VR goggles they work the same way that your eyes do, as in like you just got a slightly different image in each eye. So if you've got the VR goggles on, you're in the room. Like it's 3D in the same way that your eyes are 3D. So, but obviously it's a film rather than a computer generated thing. So you can't actually walk around because it's filmed from one spot.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Just want to give a shout out to our friend Anka as well. She's saying, hey guys, lovely to see you too. Likewise, Anka. Thank you for joining us and good morning to you. What do I want to ask you next? There's so many avenues we could go down. Would it be fair to say that when we were doing the peer coaching, the thought of putting yourself out there would have made you feel quite ill with nerves, with anxiety? Would that be a fair point?
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think at the point that we were doing the peer coaching, I don't think I even had a Facebook account. I think I'd kind of come out of mine because at the time I was so anxious about everything that I'd be like rereading if I wrote a post, I'd reread it like 8 times before I pressed send, and then I'd just sit there going, "Oh no, what is everyone going to think?" And then I had to have a Facebook account to join all these groups, but I had it in somebody else's name, like I made up a name. It's from one of my novels actually, and like for ages I was just invisible because it would have just caused me so much anxiety about it all, and that I just had this feeling that out there was somehow unsafe and you could get judged, and and then what, I'm not even sure, but like it was definitely felt unsafe, and it's funny that and it's not that I didn't get any of those thoughts doing this project, it's just that they didn't. It's just that out there was another made up concept they had. Like out there actually just exists in here still. So there isn't like a putting yourself out there that can really happen.
Yeah, and of course now you have your own Facebook group. We'll put links into these later on. And you've obviously got your own Facebook profile with your name on, your photograph and all the rest of it. So that alone was quite a big stepping out of the shadows, if you will.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, since you have this understanding, how you see politics now. I don't want to get political. I'm not asking you who you would support if you did support, who you would vote if you did vote. But do you see the politics of the world any differently now?
Yeah, I think. Well, I mean, at the same time, I gave up Facebook. I also gave up news at the time because I thought that's where the anxiety was coming from, and it's and then I know now that's not where it's coming from. So I can go and look at the news. I don't tend to because all I hear is kind of opinion, which is the least interesting thing to me. Like if somebody is there and reflecting on the situation, then it's exciting because something new is going to come through. But if you're like, I don't know, the least likely thing to be right is an opinion, I think. And so I suppose like I kind of see myself on a bit of a journey with this. So at the moment, I'm happy to just sit back and say I don't know the right answers or the meaning of any of this, and to not let any of it. Just to see that space, like I don't know, and then later on I might I might see things differently again. But that's where I am at the moment.
Good for you. I would probably describe myself. Well, I would describe myself as being apolitical. I don't. It's just drama and smoke and mirrors and things. But each to their own. But it can be quite liberating not to put energy and emotion and time there into something which just saps you. I didn't.
Yeah.
That question just kind of popped up. It's not kind of the direction I was expecting to go in, but you also wrote and directed and starting this Wonderland X project.
Yeah.
Did you have any acting experience prior to taking on the leading role of Alice?
No, not really. I did have a lot of thinking about if I should be Alice or not. I suppose part of me wanted to be Alice, and then like a bigger part of me was like, oh no, I can't be Alice. You need somebody who can act or who's younger or more glamorous or all those things. And then I was realizing, well, I don't really believe in those things, and somebody said to me, well, wouldn't you be trying to get when you say them, do everything how you would be doing it? And I was like, yeah, that's kind of true. And more than that, like it had to be somebody who understood those words, because as we say, it's not in the words, it's in the feeling. And so if I'd written the words but somebody else had said them, I don't know if they would be so impactful. Although having said that, like like when you're on set, it's not necessarily the content of the words that you're thinking about. You're kind of like, we need to get this shot done, or like the in number 3, Caterpillar's Advice. Alice is walking in the woods, and you can't really see, but it's on a really steep slope, with vines and loose ground and stuff like that. And I'm not used to wearing heels, and they were kind of pathetic heels anyway, but I'm not used to wearing them. It was just really, really hard to like kind of walk backwards or like do any kind of walking in this like forest environment. But the other thing is that there was just because we shot all 5 films at once and we didn't have any choice. That was how it was set up with Google and YouTube. And we had about 2.5 months to like write, get them made and post-produce them. And I was making all the props myself in order that I just wanted the budget to go as far as possible, and I just wanted really cool costumes and props and stuff. So I was like, well, the only way to do it is to make it myself, which was really fun. But it did mean it was such a packed schedule that I never got time to learn my lines, which was kind of scary. But then it worked out anyway, and yeah, it was very fun to work with real actors.
Oh, so right, so they're real actors. I know when I was watching through the videos and hearing you speak, it was reminded me of like a TV show where somebody is narrating, playing the part of somebody's voice. And it was so professional sounding, to be honest. That's why I asked the question, did you have any acting experience? And obviously you didn't.
Yeah, but this is the other thing that I would say about it is that I remember one of the coaching sessions I had with somebody in that year was about the fact that I felt really embarrassed like talking in public, or one because I was used to be embarrassed about my voice sounding like a little kid's voice, or I didn't think that I could communicate clearly, or like I'd never be able to get to the end of the sentence without doing all these errors and everything. And it was so strange that by the end of the films, things like my voice became plus, like it became a positive thing, like that I could use my voice to help people get out of their thinking and get into this other place where they could see something deeper. And it was so funny that like for 40 years I thought that this was a weakness, and it wasn't. That was just made a thought again.
Yeah, it never was a weakness, and I'm delighted that you're seeing that for yourself now, and serving people in magical ways. You mentioned the caterpillar. That's the second or third video. That's one of my favourites, and you got Michael Neal involved to be the voice of the caterpillar. And I didn't know when I was first watching it. I'm listening thinking, that voice sounds familiar. That's not Michael Neal. Surely it can't be. And of course, I did a bit digging, and it is Michael Neal. How did you get Michael Neal to appear on one of your videos as the voice?
I just asked him. It was yeah, because this is going to sound so arrogant, but I'm going to say it anyway. But like when they first got back to me, they said they couldn't do it because they were just rushed off their feet. But I had this really weird sense. I was like, oh, like I was really sure that was going to happen. You know, like I was like, huh? Like it didn't make any sense to me. And then and you know, of like there must have been some part of me that was just like, yeah, Michael Neal's going to be the caterpillar. And then like 2 hours later, Annette got back in touch and said, look, we'd really like to try and find a way, and they did. I think Michael recorded it in between flights. Like they are so busy, it's unbelievable. But yeah, it was just perfect. Like he'd recorded it just on his phone, and everything about it was just I don't know, it just hit the right note, and it was so rich. And it was like the filming in the woods had been a really long day, and that was one of the ones I found hardest to be both director and actress in, because I didn't know it was working, and I didn't have a director to kind of direct me. I couldn't stand outside, so it was November, the end of November. We were filming this, and obviously I'm just in the Alice costume, so it's absolutely freezing. A long day in the woods, and get home like all like shaky and really tired, because I got up at 4 o'clock in the morning to move all the to start setting up the sets and stuff in the woods. Got home, and I was just like, oh, I don't know if I did it any good, and all those kind of insecure thoughts. And then like that's happened to me when we got sent through the thing from Michael Neal, and I just heard it, and I was just like, oh, like it's totally right. It's worked, and yeah, it was just perfect timing. When I needed it, it'll pick me up.
Definitely. Yeah. So big shout out to Michael Neal for coming through with the goods. And somebody once said to me, I've said it more than once actually, when you're living your dharma, your life's purpose, doing the work that you're meant to be doing, and these things, these magical things just start to happen. It's like when I first reached out to Barefoot Doctor, didn't even expect him to respond, never mind to agree to an interview, but he says, yeah, I'd love to, let's make it happen. And that started off a friendship and the work that we've been doing together for the last year or so. So that's awesome. You said to me recently when we reconnected that you decided not to live your life in fear anymore. So how does that show up for you now? What's different about how you used to be and where you are now with it all? See things
different. It's kind of a hard question to answer, because there's so many ways that that kind of showing up. Like the I think, well, you know how Sydney Banks said that if people weren't afraid of their experience, that in itself would change the world.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah, and like right from the beginning, I knew that was kind of a big thing. But I'd be like, but that's what I want. I don't want to be afraid of my experience anymore, and I really, really am afraid of it. You know, like when I first realized it wasn't the outside world that was making me, feel all these feelings. I was like, well, that's great, but it's the feelings that I'm scared of. So like where they come from didn't seem so important at that moment, because I was like, I still, there were feelings and states that I was just terrified of. Okay, and after the birth of my first child, it was almost I can't think of a proper word, but it was postpartum weirdness, definitely. And I was really scared of those kind of experiences. And yeah, more recently, like it's like to not be scared of the thoughts because you know that they're already thoughts is one thing. And then it wasn't until recently that I realized what my feelings were and that they're like, I was literally just feeling them in my body. And when I sat there and felt them rather than attaching any thought onto them, they stopped being anything that I was scared of. Like if I could actually go inside and go, oh, wait a minute, that just feels like, I don't know, energy moving over there or whatever. And it was only when the thought came in afterwards it said, oh, this is bad, this is dangerous, that like it's like it, that, you know, the thought and the feeling combo is just incredibly powerful. And it's really funny, like, because the day I started doing that, like actually feeling my feelings, I sneezed later on in that day, and like the feeling like shot to the ends of my fingers and toes and everything, and it was like the whole body felt it, and it was so violent, like compared to the little feeling of anxiety or fear, you know, things that I'd labelled as really big beforehand were like this big compared to the sneeze, which was like that big. It's just that I didn't have a thought on the sneeze, and it kind of amused me to think, well, what if I had a thought on the sneeze? Like, what if I'd attached that to fear or something? That would just be like, it'd be terrifying. And yeah, that just, yeah, like it's so true. If you're not afraid of your experience, then what you know, what's left to be afraid of? You know, if I embarrassed myself by being a really bad Alice, then A, I would have got to be Alice, but B, like, what would have happened? I'd have had a little bit of a feeling somewhere, and then it would have gone, and that feeling couldn't have done anything to me.
Yeah, you've kind of brought in something I was going to ask you. We were having a chat the other day on Zoom, and you said something along the lines which stopped me in my tracks. And you've been talking about there. You said, where's it? You said something like, it isn't scary to actually feel your emotions and feelings. It's scary to experience the stories that we attach to those emotions and feelings. And I knew that intellectually, but it landed, and it was really powerful. And I've even done client sessions with people where we turn off the stories completely around traumatic events, and
Yeah.
I just get them to feel it in their body. You know, it's a tightness around my chest. It's starting to bubble now and move up towards my neck and shoulders. Oh, now it's feeling compressed and tighter. Now it's blah, blah, blah. And we can do a whole session. If we need to, we can transiently bring back in the stories to get the feelings again. But the transformations that can happen are quite profound. And even though I knew that you seeing that, it's the stories that we attach to the feelings and the thoughts that are the scary part. And the other night I was watching Pete Griffiths and Myra interview you, and as I was watching, I was getting insecure, thinking feelings, thinking, how can I, do it just the same justice, anything like the way they have, did an excellent job. You, the three of you, co-created something beautiful. But then I just switched the story off and just felt the discordant feelings in my body, and it was like, oh, yeah, it's a bit of discomfort in my chest or wherever it was in my solar plexus. Just going to nip to the comments, Kate. We've got Angie Richardson saying it's amazing your achievements. Quite agree as well. Thanks for your comment, Angie. We've got Isabel saying that's a very interesting awareness from such a simple experience of sneezing.
Yeah.
Well, that sneezing just like this big. How you couldn't So this project that you brought out, I guess it's cutting edge in many ways because there's nothing else quite like it out there. I'm not aware of anything with the three principles, the inside out nature of reality, in a series of videos in 3D, virtual reality. Are you aware of anything else like it out there?
No, not yet. I mean, there's, people in VR are exploring quite a lot of interesting things because I guess because of the nature of VR, it kind of makes you think about stuff like this. So there are interesting things coming out there. I think there's more you could do as well. I think, if if you had a full immersive VR experience, I think you could show the metaphor people, the metaphor from inside the metaphor, even more impactfully.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You shot these videos in 5K, which is quite stunning resolution. Obviously, you can select, from probably 480, 720, whatever, and up it goes, depending on the device and the amount of data you want to use. You've got a Facebook group as well, haven't you? Wonderland X.
Yeah, it was originally set up to try and get the project made, and it was great because I think I had about 80 coaches were going to give a certain amount of hours free coaching in order to not free coach, but the money would go to make the project because I was going to try and make it on a few £100s, and then but then got the money from Google and YouTube anyway, so I got to make bigger props basically.
Because didn't you leave a job recently? Was it last year you left your full-time job?
Yeah, pretty much a year ago, I think, that's when I found I lost the job, and it was kind of a fun time because I really wasn't getting my own projects done. And I was like, I can't really leave a job. And then I lost it. And I remember texting some people, I've lost my job. And they were like, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't know what was going to happen then because there was nothing set up with this, with Wonderland X at that point. And then I think it was only a month later that I actually had the commission to make it. And but that month was so fun because that particular month I just fell into this place where I was just like, I'm just going to follow the universe's breadcrumbs and see where it takes me. I didn't have like a fixed outcome of what something should be or how it was going to happen or anything. And so I just felt like the world was just full of opportunity and abundance, and the only thing that stopped us from seeing that was like a limit on what abundance should look like. And I just saw that really clearly, and so I've just really enjoyed this kind of playful open space. And then like a whole load of opportunities did come, and then it was like a hard work it's kind of season, it all kind of comes and goes.
Right. So essentially, you've got 5 videos. There's actually a 6th one, as in the making of Wonderland X, where you share a little bit of insights and behind the scenes, secrets on your props and things. What sort of things are you hoping that people will get out of it from watching the videos?
I suppose it depends where they are on their journey. Like, it's be really exciting to think that it could start somebody's journey and that it could be the magic key that opens their door. That would be exciting.
I love that answer.
But also I like I don't know, I just get so much peace from I call it like falling out of my thinking, but like when you just hold things more loosely, like when you just hold concepts more loosely or your idea of yourself more loosely or anything. And I think that if any of those films could do that for someone, then that's also something I would be really proud of. And like especially like in Drink Me, the second one, I think when you realise that resilience is in the system, because you're just experiencing. It's just I use the idea of the emotional clock. You're just experiencing anxiety, and then experiencing peace, and then experiencing anxiety again. Like it's nothing to worry about. The clock's just going to continue. And I think that's the second thing. And the third thing is that people often find this understanding hard to share. And I really wanted to make something that people could point to and say, well, there's something that I'm also talking about, or whatever. So I was kind of hoped it would be a resource. And also I really like, or get really excited about the thought of making something that's exciting for someone. Like if somebody can go, oh, what's this piece of magic? Let me have a look. What is it? I want to go deeper into the woods here. And that's what I would love to do.
Well, I think you did an amazing job. And I've been around the principles for a little bit of time now, and I've still got loads out of them watching. In fact, to be honest, I've watched a few times now, and each time I do, I get something a bit different. It helps things to bed in a bit deeper into land.
Yeah.
And I was looking last night, you've got roughly about 8,000 views on your videos.
Really?
And combined, and they haven't been up long, they've only been up, a month or two. And
well, that's what's nice, is that I have no idea how they're getting viewed now. Like in the first week, I could tell you like who was viewing. Like I had your name.
I know what you mean.
Like,
I know yes.
Yeah, I could, like, it was already, I know that Michael Neal and Jamie put it out, and Amy Johnson put it out, and Dick and Betty put it out for me, and that was all in the first week and a half, and so I don't know where everyone else is coming from, but that's kind of exciting, because I know like the first wave of people would be people that probably already have be in touch with this understanding in some way. And I'm kind of hoping that maybe the second wave of people might be people that it's getting passed on to who haven't come across it before. And that's exciting.
Yeah, it is. So without further ado, where is the best place people can go and view these fantastic videos?
Yeah, wonderlandx.com is the easiest way, because otherwise, they're on YouTube, so they're free for anyone to watch. But wonderlandx.com just links to all of them.
And your Facebook group is just simply Wonderland X if you want to join that as well.
Yeah.
They're free. There's no strings attached. You don't have to sell your soul. You're not going to get bombarded. You're not going to get bombarded trying to sell your stuff. It's free. If people want to reach out and connect with you, because you're also an excellent coach, I can see firsthand that you're really good at coaching, helping people to see things more clearly and getting out of their head. If you helped me recently, a couple of weeks ago, we connected, and I was struggling with a couple of things, and you really did help me. By the end of it, I was like, seeing things totally different now. And 2 weeks down the line, I'm free of it. I'm clear of it. So how can people connect with you?
Yeah, well, either through Facebook, or wonderlandx.com has got some like a way you could, like an email address there, or a form there that you can contact me. Yeah.
Katie, you've been a delight to interview. Thank you so much for doing this. Thank you to the viewers who've been on, leaving comments for Katie. We appreciate it. We appreciate you all. Isabel's saying we'll be enjoying the episodes. Thank you. Thank you, Isabel. So much love to everyone. Share this out if you got value from it. And talk to you all soon. Bye for now.
Bye.